You're here listening to the Soul Expansion Podcast because intuitively you know there's more to life. There's something more here. And truthfully, we access that something more in our own bodies, in our own souls. We have all the wisdom we need. And when we can access this within ourselves, business, money, impact, and every area of our life becomes so much more easeful, relaxed, and abundant. My name is Kristen Kaczynski, and I'm here as your guide and your host, but this is your journey, so let the journey begin. No one wants to do this, and I've observed so much with clients, with my audience, with my community, with people in the online coaching space, how much people don't want to do this. But this is one of the most important things that will ultimately start to make you more money. It will build your brand. You'll feel better. You'll have better relationships. You'll experience more ease in business, with money, and with life. And are you ready for it? Loving yourself. And before you hit that pause button and you skip ahead to the next episode, I have to say, if you're someone who wants to avoid this topic, then this is probably the most important topic for you to listen to right now. If you're someone oh yeah, that makes total sense, then you could probably skip this episode. But if you are consciously wanting to avoid this because you think that it's not important, you are someone who I sincerely hope will listen, because it is important. It's everything. It is everything. We have personal brands. If you're in my industry, or even if you're just a human who is in the professional world, we have personal brands. Our brand is our person. Our brand is our personality. Our brand is who we are. And if we don't love ourselves, then how can anyone else love us? If we're showing up in a personal brand from a state of feeling not good enough, then how can we possibly expect to attract people who want to be in our energy, right? People love you for you. But if you don't love you for you, then they never get to see the real you. And this is something that in my business I kept running into, where I wanted to avoid the self-love work. I wanted to do every other thing that I could do. I wanted to strategize. I wanted to reprogram limiting beliefs. And it's not that those things don't work, they do. But if your foundation is not self-love, then those things don't have as much of an impact. And really, this is the foundation of everything we're working through in the Soul Expansion membership. I mean, we have other topics like awakening to abundance now and receiving and these sorts of things. We have specific topics, but at the core of everything is, can you love yourself now? And these healings and these meditations and the breath work that we do is all designed to help you get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to your truth of you are love, you are source, you are divine, you are worthy, you are abundant, right? And so we peel away all the layers in the Soul Expansion membership, mysoulexpansion.com, if you want to join us. And through that work and through the process and through the trusting of that process, you come to love yourself more and more. And the more that you love yourself, the more you can receive, number one, because if you think that you are not lovable, then it's going to be really hard for you to be open to receive good things, right? Just thinking of pure vibration. If you feel not good enough, then how could you ever receive something that you consider good, right? Thinking of money, thinking of clients, thinking of opportunities, thinking of even platform growth, audience growth, or whatever it is you have in business, maybe a relationship that you're wanting to manifest. If you don't feel good enough and that's your dominant vibration and that's where you're hanging out right now, then you're going to keep creating situations that match that feeling of not good enough. So if I was going to give you a concrete example, let's say you're someone who in childhood, the way you knew that you were good enough from your parents and caregivers was when you got rewarded for achieving a goal. Well, if you're not always achieving and you haven't done the self-love work, then what can happen is in your business, you're constantly reaching for that next goal, for that next income milestone, for that next achievement to fulfill the inner child need for receiving praise or for validation or recognition or whatever it is. And so then you find yourself in a chase. Then you find yourself in a state of having to prove yourself or having to constantly hustle or burn out just to get to a sense of having your needs met. And then how fleeting is it after you meet a goal, right? Like you meet the goal, you celebrate. And I mean, if you're intentional about it, you can extend the celebration, of course, and you can bring those feelings of celebration into your body, every single day if you want to. And I definitely think that's a powerful manifestation practice. But when you're in this feeling of not good enough, how fleeting is it when you hit a goal that you feel good enough? You only feel good enough for like a split second, maybe for a day maximum, maybe 2 days if we're being like really generous here. And then you have the crash because now your system wants to achieve something else just so that it can feel good enough. And at the core of all of this is a lack of self-love, because if you loved yourself, you wouldn't need the achievement to let you know that you're good enough. You would just know that you're good enough. You would just know it. You would just feel it. And when it's embodied, then everything in your life gets better. Everything in your life gets better. And I know it's not the sexiest topic, but it's the truest truth that exists. When you love yourself and you feel that and you allow that and you allow all parts of you to be good enough, all parts of you to be lovable, even the ones that most people wouldn't like, even the ones that maybe before you were ashamed of. I have parts of me that I, at times have been very ashamed of, but then the longer I was ashamed of them, the more unconscious they became and they never went away. So eventually I had to accept that that was a small part of me, but it's not all of me. And it's also a part that's coming from trauma, right? There was, things I did early on in my business that for a long time I had a lot of shame around. And then I realized, well, I was like literally in a trauma response. And I didn't know what I know now. I was fighting for survival in a situation unconsciously where I thought I was being abused. That's accurate. My body literally thought I was still in the abusive relationship when I started my business because it like kicked me into a trauma response. It triggered my sense of safety that I had developed in my corporate career. And so my body felt unsafe and I was deeply unconscious and deeply traumatized. And so I could, just go on feeling ashamed about some of the mistakes I made back then, but I didn't even fucking know who I was or what I was doing. And I had no connection to my heart. So am I going to shame those parts of me or am I going to forgive those parts of me and realize that I was doing the best I could with the resources I had at the time? Because I was fighting for survival in the beginning of my business. I had no concept of well-being. I had no concept of safety, no concept of stability. I was literally like in the jungle fighting for survival from a body perspective. That's what my body felt like it was going through. So can you forgive those parts of you that maybe right now you're ashamed of? And can you find a way to love all parts of you? Because you can't love half of you and then reject the other half of you. And this is kind of what we're conditioned to do. And this is how we learn to cope. We like the parts of us that other people like. We like the parts of us that receive praise or get celebrated by the public or by our parents. We like the parts of us that are acceptable to society, but we tend not to love the parts of us that, some people wouldn't like, or some people would think are unacceptable, or some people would think are horrifying, right? But we can't love half of ourselves, because if we only love half of ourselves, then we're constantly living a lie. We're constantly living a lie. We're constantly trying to be a person instead of being who we really are. And the thing is, here's the funny thing about self-love. When you love the parts of you that maybe you're ashamed of now, then all of a sudden they transform and they become this like beautiful, loving part of your personality. So it's like only when we shame parts of ourselves do they become these evil monsters. But when we accept them and we love them, they become like these beautiful aspects of our personality that must be witnessed, that must be expressed, that must be part of you and part of your personal brand and part of what you're here to share with the world. And that's what I found time and time again. Every time I loved a part of me that I previously thought was unlovable, that version of me transformed into something that is more me, right? Transformed into my fuller expression, my voice, my passion, my sexual empowerment, my power, right? My power as a leader and my leadership instincts and my ability to sit in the discomfort and still lead and move through the discomfort and carve the path for others. Like all of the things that make me me, all of the things that are good came from a part of me that was previously rejected, shamed, and stored away in my unconscious. And when I let myself love those parts of me, they transformed into the real me, right? I expanded into my fullest expression. I expanded into who I was born to be. I expanded into my divinity. And, I say this as like something we all have. We are all divine in our own way. We all have a magic in us. We all have a purpose that we're here to do. We all have something in us that is unique to us and so potent and so powerful. But throughout our childhood, we learn to shove it away, push it down, hide it, pretend, and we lose that magic. And that magic is what attracts us to other humans. This is like the most crazy conspiracy or fuck up of our society that exists. I don't know what the label is, but we teach people to be the same. And when they're all the same, they're so miserable that they lose their own magic in the sameness. And so when we allow everyone to be who they really are, and we stop trying to force people or control people to be things that they're not, then they're in their fullest expression of love, of joy, of passion. And it's only in the forcing of people to be a certain way that we see the negative aspects come through, because we can't be anything other than we are. So if we're being forced or conditioned to be something that we're not, of course, our most negative aspects are going to come out because we're oppressed. And, this can be as simple as like a parent saying you're too emotional or you're too loud, or it could be as extreme as societies oppressing their people. It runs the spectrum, right? Like no situation is immune from this, right? Like we all experience some form of oppression in childhood, even if it's just our parents creating rules that go against our true nature of love, abundance, expansion, and full expression, and all of these things, right? Like I am a prime example of someone who I had a relatively amazing childhood, like a very privileged childhood, but my true nature is loud. My true nature is expressive. My true nature is emotional, like so emotional. Like, I used to have the biggest temper tantrums and cry when I was a kid. And all I needed in those moments was like acceptance and love. But what I was met with was parents who didn't know how to handle a child with emotions that big, because my sister was very calm. I was the crazy one, right? And just that one simple childhood experience repeated enough times where when I was emotional, it was met with resistance from my parents instead of attunement or acceptance or love. That one situation caused me to shut off a whole part of myself, my emotionality, my expression. And we all experience this. Like, no one is immune to this. And when we experience it in childhood, we integrate it as adults. And until we look at that and we learn to love those parts of us that were previously deemed unlovable, then we're only showing up halfway. And our whole heart isn't here. Our whole soul isn't present in our business. And so it's harder to attract clients. It's harder to attract money. It's harder to have a personal brand that people want to follow because all of you isn't here, right? We need all of you. We need all of you, even the parts that you don't love right now. First, you need to love those parts. First, you need to fully accept those parts. And then they will transform into your gifts. They will transform into your unique magic. That is why self-love makes you more money, grows your brand, and improves every area of your life. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are wanting to work more on your self-love work, Soul Expansion Membership is one container where you can start to do that work, mysoulexpansion.com. I would also love to hear from you in our text community. My number is 214-624-6031. Send me a text. Let me know you listened to this episode. Let me know your takeaways. Let me know any follow-up questions you have. Let me know how I can support you. I'm here for you. I want to hear from you. And I want to text you back. So send me a text, 214-624-6031. And with that, just want to say thank you again for being a listener. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the show today. Thank you for being a loyal listener. If you've listened more than once, I really appreciate your time, your focus, your energy, and your attention. And so it is my heartfelt request that if you got something out of this episode, please write us a review, rate us, tell us exactly what you want to say, speak from the heart, speak from your soul. No review is too short or too long or anything that's too much or not good enough. It's all good. It's all good. We really love and appreciate your feedback. It just helps us make the show better and better, and it helps us get the show out to more people. As a reward for your time and energy writing a review, just take a screenshot of it before you hit submit and email it to us at support@KristenKaczynski.com, and we will give you free access to my Work Less, Make More, The Vibe Masterclass and Integration Deepening Call. This is over 3 hours of content that was recorded in 2022, early 2022. On my website, I currently charge money for it. I don't remember what we priced it at, but it's not currently for free anywhere else unless you write a podcast review, screenshot that review, and send us an email. So the email address is support@KristenKaczynski.com. I would love to gift you this free gift for your time and energy being a listener and writing a review. So if you have a few moments right now, I would really appreciate your words, your feedback, your shares, and your love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. I so appreciate you. And I'll talk to you soon.